Welcome to Public Participation Training Video number 1, Why Public Participation is Important. I'm Dave Ciascio, partner with Community Redesign. We had the good fortune of working with the Iowa Department of Economic Development, along with the Downtown Professional Network out of Chicago, to conduct a series of public participation training workshops in the month of April and May. This video series is an attempt to capsulize some of the highlights, capsulize the elements of those workshops for those of you who attended, as well as to inform those who could not attend, again with some of the key discussion points that were made for the sessions. So what we're going to do, without further discussion here or ado, we'll start training video number 1, and I'm going to base all this off of one of the first things that we need to talk about is the Iowa Smart Planning legislation. The Iowa Department of Economic Development is one of the first states in the nation to pass this kind of legislation, which actually encourages and guides public participation effort. Their legislative guide was produced in March of 2011. And in this planning legislation, it really articulates 10 smart planning principles for application in local comprehensive plan development and public investment decision-making processes. Two other points here is that it provides comprehensive planning guidance for cities and counties and establishes the Iowa Smart Planning Task Force with various responsibilities. So basically, the Iowa Smart Planning legislation is encouraging for all of us to raise the bar for public participation in our public planning and design processes. Particularly that goes to those elected officials, along with us as consultants or community action groups. What we want to do is really challenge the public that this is a new time of engagement, a new era that we want to have more public engagement and public input into the process. As was said in one of our sessions to start off this series, it was made a point by a county commissioner that now is the time to plan for the people, or not for the people, but now is the time to plan by the people and not for the people. And that planning by the people is exactly that. It's a process for community input. It sets a stage for public engagement and true transparency in government. Government 2.0, as it's referred to often. These 10 smart planning principles are led off by, no surprise, collaboration, in which the legislative guide calls for government, communities, and individual stakeholders, including those outside jurisdictions of the entity, are encouraged to be involved and provide comment during deliberation, planning, zoning, development, and resource management decisions. Again, number 1 is collaboration in our planning processes that is encouraged by the legislation. So again, we need to encourage the public to become involved. Too often we request or we desire it, but we really don't make that as a firm statement. Collaboration, also state agencies, local governments, or other public entities encouraged to develop and implement a strategic facilitation program. And so it's no longer should we just have it in the back of our mind, but we really should get down in black and white what our public input and engagement strategy should be. The community of Waverly presented us with a very nice example and very detailed public engagement plan. It's probably one of the models that we've seen so far that was done by the COG for that region. Of the planning principles, there are 13 elements as well. And again, no surprise, the number 1 element is public participation. And it encourages the information relating to public participation during the creation of the comprehensive plan or land development regulations, including documentation of public participation process, a compilation of objectives, policies, goals that are identified during the public comments received. So not only do we develop the plan, but let's have a good documentation of the public's input and those objectives that are developed in that process. So Iowa Smart Planning Principle, you can go to planiowa.com, and that is a website that is being produced for this project, in which you can download these various principles, and I'll repeat that again at the end of this brief presentation. The importance and benefits of public participation. Transparency to humanize government. Again, too often we work out of our offices and there's no face with a name. And so I think it is very good that we actually, in public participation, that we bring transparency completely to the process, and that those individuals from municipalities and state organizations are out front, personally out front of the process. Civic leaders, county leaders are also forefront requesting the public to be engaged, not just in a lip service, but actually in a physical presence. So let's make it a transparent process. We can engage new audiences. By doing so, we're seeing younger and younger people becoming involved,